Over on MSNBC, Chuck Todd, very famous liberal host, although he's on his way out, he's not going to be hosting that show anymore after this summer, had just the nastiest thing to say about Hispanics who dared to think in a way that Chuck Todd doesn't want them to think. So the context of this is after President Trump was arraigned in Miami, after the actual arraignment itself, after he was at the courthouse, he left and he stopped by a restaurant for lunch. This restaurant is a Cuban restaurant run by Cuban exiles, people who escaped Cuban communism. And he got food for lunch, but the people in the restaurant, the people who run the restaurant and the patrons are really supportive of President Trump. And they spoke to him when he came in for lunch, and they surrounded him and they prayed for him. They put their hands on his shoulders and they prayed for him. Actually a beautiful moment. If you can possibly put politics aside for a second, which most people, including the left, can't. Chuck Todd responds to this community of Cubans praying for President Trump because he came to eat lunch with them. He responds to it by calling these Hispanics perverse because they dare to be Republican. Take a listen to this.
Very familiar scene to South Floridians watching sometimes the politics of Central and South America, where you see these moments. But clearly he is wrapping himself in this sort of, there is a faction of South Florida, very conservative MAGA Hispanics who are very much rally around, sort of almost see common cause of the injustices of America with Cuba and Venezuela, and he's trying to wrap himself in this, in the sort of the folks who claim they're exiles in the exile community, and it's a real perversion of what the exile community used to fight for. I mean, this is what makes it so surreal to see it here in the United States. We were the safe haven for those that were escaping moments like this. It's just, what a bizarre moment. And I think, again, it's going to take years for us to understand it.
Perverse, he says. He calls Hispanic people who support Trump perverse. Listen, there's racism that exists in the United States right now. There is racism that comes from the left telling people because they're from Cuba, because they're from Venezuela, because they are of Hispanic origin, that they have to think a certain way based just on the color of their skin. That's racism. If you take any single demographic that shares an immutable characteristic like skin color or like sex, and you tell them that they must behave and think a certain way based on that immutable characteristic, then that's bigotry. That's coming from the left right now. This ideology that has poisoned the left, has also poisoned the political left, or even the corporate media, the leftists in the corporate media, has also poisoned the same people, the ideological left, who are writing the algorithms that will power AI. Remember, AI is not a sentient being. It doesn't have agency. It's not something that just spontaneously came. It's not a life form begot of God or of nature. It's something built by human beings. It's something that's controllable by human beings. It's something that operates the way that human beings tell it to operate. Imagine for a second if this algorithm that's supposedly going to integrate into our very reality become a blurred line of what's humanity and what's machine, what's AI, what's real, what is even the definition of reality anymore. Imagine if this kind of poisonous ideology is bred into this algorithm. Then this algorithm is going to treat every Hispanic person who, I guess, isn't a Democrat, any Hispanic person who thinks for themselves, any Hispanic person who dares to be Republican, as perverse. This racism would be inbred into this. So forgive me if I'm skeptical about the ramifications of artificial intelligence, of AI on our society, because the people right now in control of this don't like half of the country, think that we are racists and bigots and homophobes and transphobes and have completely written us off. In fact, when Hillary Clinton responded to Trump's indictment and Trump's arraignment, she repeated, not in the exact same words, but she repeated the same sentiment as several years ago when she was running against Trump in 2016, and she dismissed every Republican as being a basket of deplorables. It was that moment, it was a pivotal moment in that election when a lot of people were like, whoa, we're not evil because we aren't voting for Hillary. It's not a litmus test that if you don't vote for Hillary, that means you're evil, that if you do vote for Trump, that means you're a bad person. A lot of people found this really jarring, as they should, because it's an evil sentiment coming from Hillary. And she doubled down on this when she was talking about any Republican, and you don't even have to be a Republican. There's a lot of non-Republicans who look at the fact that Hillary Clinton wasn't charged for mishandling classified information with her email server, destroying 30,000 emails with bleach bit and a hammer instead of responding to a subpoena about them. Think the fact that she wasn't charged for that, never held accountable for that, and yet the Department of Justice is going after Trump for housing presidential records from when he was in office in his post-presidential library or office, secured by the Secret Service. They think that that's a gross miscarriage of justice, that that's a two-tiered system of justice, that's unfair, that's unjust, it's wrong. And this is what Hillary Clinton says about anybody who believes that.
Republicans claim that you did the same thing and got off scot-free. Why did your friend Jim Comey let you off so easy?
That's a really good question. I can't figure that one out. I do think it's odd, let's just say, to the point of being absurd, how that is their only response. They refuse to read the indictment. They refuse to engage with the facts. There's nothing new about that. And what they refuse to admit is, this is on a track about him, not about anybody else. No matter how much they try to confuse people and how much they try to, raise extraneous issues. And it's going to be fascinating, I guess, in a bizarre and sad way, to watch them spin themselves up. If you watched any of the news programs this weekend, their efforts to defend this man are truly beyond anything that I ever thought possible in our country. It is so profoundly disturbing how this could have been the break. This could have been the opportunity to say, thank you so much for everything you've done for us. We really appreciate it, But this is kind of serious, and so we're not going to, continue to defend you. But no, they're all in again. That's what the psychology of this is so hard for me to fully grasp.
Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.